Sustainability isn't just a term that you shoot off or speak of when you're in these corporate meetings and boardrooms and town halls or investor meetings, etc. Sustainability is something that responsible leader needs to think about very, very deeply. And yes, it has a meaning. Sustainability in today's time has a deep meaning of how a leader, a responsible leader, promotes welfare of people, welfare of consumers, welfare of the planet in general, and of the sustainable development goals, and also the welfare of the bottom line of the organization. And these, when you combine these four intents, do you really, really get sustainability in the true sense? So before you next time shoot off this word or you're about to give some grand plan around this, ask yourselves this question. In my grand scheme of sustainability, have I considered the welfare of my own people, which is my employees, my organization? Are they mentally, emotionally, physically doing well? Will they be able to sustain the tomorrow? From there, ask, are you taking care of the consumer rights? Are you doing the right things for the consumers so that there is loyalty from the consumers towards you in whichever way? And our customers and consumers could be anybody. It could be the intermediaries that you're working with, and then they are working with their end consumers, or it could be you working directly with your end consumers. In whichever industry you are, whichever focus you keep, ask this question. The planet aspect, I don't even have to explain. It is a common known knowledge that UN has put down those 17 sustainability goals. There are some incredible numbers that we need to meet by 2030 to continue to keep our planet livable and enjoyable and sustainable. And finally, like I said, we couldn't do any of these things unless you're focusing on the sustainability of the bottom line of the organization itself. So that's the welfare of that also has to be taken care of. Now, how do you do this? What's the formula? The formula is not to run programs, multiple programs on each one of these agendas. The idea is to bring this into strategy. So unless sustainability is your strategy, unless sustainability is in your strategy, unless sustainability is driven by your strategy, this is not going to happen. And some of the gold standards to do this is to begin by thinking of the organization being a no excuses culture, and excellence as a norm. And that excellence as a norm is the first and the foremost pillar for us to look at as responsible leader to ensure sustainability of all these four areas. When we don't make excuses about the welfare of our people, when we don't make excuses about the welfare of our consumers, when we don't make excuses about the sustainable development goals, when we don't make excuses about the bottom line of the organization, that is when we will have a clear-cut rallying of every single person in the organization, be it the highest to be the feet on the street, be it the most peripheral support role to the most central of the role, be it our distributors, our suppliers, any of the supply chains that we're working with, any of the delivery chains that we're working with, any of the service lines that we're working with. No excuses means no excuses when it comes to the welfare of our people, welfare of our consumers, welfare of the planet, and welfare of the balance sheet, the bottom line of the organization. And that no excuses attitude, approach, has to percolate down into the intent, clarity, and accountability of everything that we do. From the strategy documents that we write in the organization, to the way that strategy adheres to the vision, mission, values of the organization, to the way that we have connected all of those things into the strategic objectives of 12 months or 18 months or 36 months, whatever we're doing, or popularly, whether you're practicing the balanced scorecard or you're practicing the management by objectives or you're practicing OKRs, how do all of those percolate down in intent and clarity? Are the goals of the different parts of the organization all in sync? And this in sync is not just sound similar. The in sync is it communicated correctly? Is the load sharing or the cooperation spread across all the parts of the organization correctly? Is the coordination done, which means are all the departments going to work on these things at the same time in one tune? Are they all going to march to the same tune? That intent and clarity needs to be there along with the measurement systems of the organization, which means week on week, month on month, quarter on quarter, are we progressing on all the goals which we had put down with the right intent and clarity? So if you have the number one, which is a no excuses culture, it will percolate, and it has to be made to percolate down into the intent and clarity, and then held together by action and accountability of measurement and reinforcement. Now, in any organization, there are so many moving parts that we will slip. And when that slip happens is when we, as a responsible leader, need to get back and get the culture going, get the systems going, get the processes going, get the people going. Remember what Edward Deming said, and he wonderfully says this, and somewhere towards the middle of his career, as he was a movement in himself, he used to say this, that about 80% of problems in an organization are process problems. They're not people problems. And he said this so prominently. And I remember reading this somewhere, that just a few months before his death, he revised that statement. He said, when I was young, I said that about 80% of the problem are people problem and not are process problems and not people problem. He said, I stand corrected as I dawn on this, as wisdom dawned on me, as I'm in this age, as a lot more experience has come to me. I will correct my statement. He said 97% of all problems in an organization are process problems. They are not people problems. Wow, look at the depth of that organization, of that wisdom that came to him. Look at the amount of work he must have done to have that clarity of understanding. Why don't we, as responsible leader, borrow from that? That instead of people running after people and trying to fix all of these issues, get the right kind of profound knowledge into the organization. And Edward Deming used to say this, that organizations shift when you bring profound knowledge from outside into the organization. And that, like in our Bharatiya Sanskriti, that's called Vidya. The Vidya of what are the right things to do? How do we even decide what is the right thing to do? Changing the language of the organization, changing the structure and the processes of the organization, so that no excuses culture is percolating down to every single side of the organization in intent and clarity and accountability. And remember this, when you're doing culture building, Hitopadesh says this so beautifully, Vidya dadati vinayam, vinayati ati patratam, patratvad dhanam apanoti, dhanat dharma tatha sukham. What essentially that means is with the right Vidya, you will get Vinayata in the organization, the humility, the respect, the discipline, the loyalty, the structures and right behaviors to do things. From that will come the patrata, the character, the ability to do things. And from there will come all the other things like the dhana, dharma, which is the growth, the equity of the organization, the popularity, and you'll be able to cater to all the responsibilities. So, there can be enough said about this. There needs to be enough focus on this. So if you are a responsible leader, if you're trying to work on the culture of the organization, if you're trying to instill sustainability in the organization, you should focus on ensuring the no excuses and that percolating down into the intent, clarity, and accountability in the organization. While doing all of this, what you also need to ensure is psychological safety in my organization. Now, in my work, what I have found is that psychological safety isn't just the shallow aspect of people being able to speak up. There is so much more. Let's understand this. In our organizations, everybody has to be a net provider of psychological safety, which means every single human being, be it the most simplest role holder to the most complex role holder, you need to ensure that everyone feels psychologically safe in your presence. And some of that goes back to the kind of vidya that you carry, the values, the virtues, the ethics that you carry. One way that you can do this is by instilling the organizational values and humanistic values, deep business values, respect towards money, the organization, the work, the consumers, into the characteristics of every single human being. Remember, there are enough hurt children walking around. In you and I, we have hurt children. We've had our life experiences, early childhood, late childhood, so many other aspects which could have had challenges to us. And even if you had a wonderfully smooth life, a very blessed life, and you've not had those scratches and tarnishes in the journey of your life, wonderful, good for you. But then also there are some life lessons that you may not have picked up, which is shading your perception. And perception is something that we all have very little of. A lot of perceptions are very blinded. Our perceptions are lying to us. So perspectives, let me correct myself. Perspectives is something that we all have limited of. We all have a lot of our own kind of perceptions. Those perceptions need to break. And the perspectives need to be very, very clear. So work with the right kind of vidya in the organization to create people who can provide psychological safety to others. Not just that, the second pillar that I've discovered in my work is even if we provide psychological safety, there are a lot of people who don't want to consume that psychological safety. Their narratives, their stories. The hurt child is not ready to accept from others the psychological safety. There is a thread that comes up. I remember saying this in one of my videos that your perception is lying to you. I will leave you that link. You must watch that. There are people who come at it from a level of insecurity, level of not being able to connect to others, level of not being able to work like others, level of not feeling connected or bonded in a community, not being able to express, not being able to think through, not having the faith and the perspective to respect chance, luck, probability, etc. So those challenges can come from anywhere. And again, whether they're able to provide or not, they're not able to consume that psychological safety. So these are two things that we really need to solve in organizations if we want to keep our organizations healthy. Whether it's your induction program or it's your workshops and training programs or running human sensitivity labs or doing deep level work with psychometrics, with counseling support, with support groups. Yes, in organizations, we need to do this kind of work so that our people are healed, whole, and complete. Because only when you have everyone being net providers of psychological safety and net consumers of psychological safety can we get people around to the third pillar of doing productive, progressive things every single day with that psychological safety that they are provided. Look, psychological safety is not a comfort given to people to keep comfortably working at their speed. No. In business today, we have to work with a certain pace, and that pace has to be responsible and responsive to consumers, to the collective employee well-being, to stakeholders, to the market, to the movement of the economy. So many things need to be taken into consideration. So no, psychological safety is not a cushy, soft, mushy concept to be provided so that people can do whatever they want, they can carry any identity. No, that's not the point of psychological safety. Is everybody comes together and puts in their 100% into the work. You come to work to get work done, nothing else. That's the point of psychological safety in an organization. So bring that together. That's the third part of sustainability that we need to create in organizations. If we don't have that, the purpose of the first statement, which is no excuses culture, will get beaten. So bring this together as a leader working on sustainability. In other words, I'm saying that you need to attune your culture in such a way that the welfare of our people, welfare of the consumer, welfare of the planet and the adherence to the SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals of UN, and most importantly, the welfare of the balance sheet is taken care of. Because if the organization doesn't exist, then all of these fluffy concepts cannot be dealt with. So take those fluffy concepts and take the hard concept of running a business and join them together and make it one concept. It's not one after the other. It has to come together and work together. That is where sustainability will come in. Remember, you chase sustainability, the first thing that will happen is you will start getting significant results. Once you start getting significant results, make it scalable. And scalability is you do much more with the same or the lesser resources. Reusability, investing less time, investing less money, investing lesser resources, you're able to produce more and more. When you get significant and sustainable and scalable results, you will start getting sustainable results also. That's the trick to work with. Remember those 3 S's, and we will talk a little bit more about this at another point in time. But yes, leaders can create sustainability, but don't be myopic about that sustainability. First, ensure sustainability of the people, consumers, and the SDGs, and along with that, bring the sustainability of the bottom line and the balance sheet.